You're listening to the Just Go Bike podcast. We're all about the culture of bicycling just for the fun of it. Your host, Kathy Murphy from the Morphology podcast and Andrea Parrott from Parrott Talk are joined by a wide variety of guests each week that delve into the social side of cycling. With tales from RAGBRAI Nation, come for the bikes, stay for the fun, and leave with a smile. And now, here are your hosts, Murph.
Hey, that's me.
And AP.
And that's me. Hi, Murph.
Well, hey, AP.
And welcome back to the U.S.
Well, thank you very much. It was pretty cool to ride a bicycle in another country. Actually, that would be two countries I've covered in 2024 because I was in Mexico in January, Panama just recently. Pretty cool. And I learned a ton about tourism in Panama.
Wow. So you're
cool.
the South American aficionado.
I know. If only I would have spent more time learning Spanish, I would right now be having a conversation in Espanol for you.
Sí, muy bien.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were in Panama. Did you actually see the canal?
My hotel was on the Panama Canal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. And follow-up question, were any boats stuck in it?
There were no boats stuck, but it was crazy. I was biking along, I think it was called the Causeway, and you're biking along, doo-dee-doo. I'm taking photos of like beautiful water and scenery and trees, and then a massive ship will come cruising by. And I don't think it's actually running because tugboats are pushing it, but it's one of those like cargo ships that's like 18 stories tall, and I'm like, how is that ship going to get underneath, I believe it's called the Bridge of the Americas, and wherever it's going. But you know what? They've been doing it for a while, so they know what they're doing. They weren't asking me any questions.
Yeah, well, probably that's a good thing. But anyway, if they could ask you about biking, though, that's our
yes,
that's our
I would love
expertise.
to. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just address the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
We need to acknowledge that we are recording this banter like we normally do,
Right.
but we're also together.
Since
HQ.
we're together at HQ, we decided to record a video. So, hi,
everybody.
And hello, hello, listeners, but also hello, people watching us on the video. And video's a whole new game.
Yeah, a whole new
isn't
ball
it?
game.
Yeah.
I'm used to filming you just for social media, like on my phone.
Right.
Only.
Yeah. But you can go to our YouTube channel to actually watch this banter. We promise we're not going to do the entire episode, mostly because it's already been recorded. But and this is we're kind of testing this out. So we aren't going to move the actual recording device, but we should do a quick, like a tour. This is Parrott Talk Studios.
That's right. This is Parrott Talk Studios. And we're still getting it set up.
Yes.
But, there are a couple highlights that we've already installed. First of all, us.
Second of all,
we're on air. Yep, we have an on-air sign. And then, of course, we have our major award.
Yes.
Ready for viewing.
Yes.
Very good.
And AP made this beautiful shadow box of all of the gifts, or a few of the gifts that people have been giving us. And then I dropped it. So it needs to be put back together before we can show that. But that'll be for the next time we are together and do the banter.
That's right. And I think you should point out our beautiful poster that we have behind you. It's not mounted yet.
I don't know if you can see it kind of behind me, but it is one amazing woman, Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark, number 22.
And her saying is, it's actually a Nike saying, you break it, you own it, because she has broken a gazillion records.
Yeah. So yep, I got that from her record-breaking game when she got the most points of any woman.
Yeah. So really quickly, back to my Panama trip.
Okay,
right?
Yeah, sorry. Yes.
I have a gift for you.
What?
Yeah. So I will, for those of you watching, this is a Just Go Bike Croc. We both have them. Thank you, Jake Hayes at Crocs. He got us Just Go Bike actual Crocs. But while I'm in Panama, I find a little something for you. So tell the listeners what you see.
It's a little gibbet.
It's a bicycle gibbet. So I had to go all the way to Panama to get a bicycle gibbets that will go on our Crocs.
And it's also a little sombrero.
It says Panama.
Oh.
I watched the person make that.
Oh.
So yeah, there you go.
Cute. Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. And my gibbets.
And of course I have The same
We
on
have to
my
match.
shoe. Yeah, I put it on my right croc in case you're going to put it on right now.
Okay. So you keep talking, and I'm going to install my gibbet.
Okay, you're going to install that.
Yep.
So, okay. So we're going to talk about today's episode, which we interviewed our ride director, Mr. Matt Phippen. And we're recording this in mid to end October. So we wanted to sit down with him and just figure out kind of where he's at as far as route planning for 2025, what he's been doing lately. And no, he did not tell us the route.
Ooh, but he almost did. He almost spilled those beans.
He wasn't even close.
Well, okay. But we did try.
Yeah,
we tried.
we
for
did,
you
yeah.
listeners.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is going to be both of us, AP and I, interviewing Matt Phippen. So should we get to it?
Let's roll it.
All right, AP, how's it going?
Great, because we have our favorite guest ever with us in the room.
Probably our most popular guest. It is our ride director, Mr. Matt Phippen. Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Good. We're glad to have you here. And we're actually all in the same room so we can look at each other and,
Yeah, this room's coming together quite nicely.
That's right.
Here at RAGBRAI headquarters. But anyway, we talked about that in the banter. So, Matt, our last episode was with Scott Sumter, and we talked about off-season cycling. And I think that's a good segue to ask our first question to you. Like, what kind of cycling do you like maybe this time of year?
Gravel is obviously year-round cycling that I absolutely love. Anything on the road. I don't do a whole lot of trail. We do have a nice little trail that kind of is in the backyard of my house, but it's only 3+ miles, so it's kind of hard to get on and get off, and unless you want to just burn laps all day on a 3-mile trail. And I live just kind of too far from a Cedar Rapids or a Waterloo to drive somewhere and then ride on that trail. But I'll just, for me personally, I'll just hop on my bike, leave my house, and I could hit a gravel road in under a mile. I could hit a paved road in under a mile and do that. But with my schedule, Zwift is kind of one of my easiest options because I'm not leaving my house. I will say that I have not been good lately on a bicycle. I need to get my life figured out and get on a bicycle.
I think you're speaking on behalf of all riders right now.
I feel like I've kind of just fallen off. The way my brain works, I have the best intentions of hopping on a bike and riding, and then an email comes through or some other thought pops into my head, and I kind of put the job first, which is how it should be done, and then put the bike second, where I need to force myself to get on a bicycle, and maybe I just need to schedule it, put it on my calendar, so if my brain sees it on my calendar,
exactly.
It forces me to do it. But no, I try to ride on the weekends with a group of guys from Vinton in that area, and obviously with Iowa football and just life in general, it really makes it hard to just hop on a bike and be gone for a couple hours. So
yeah,
and that's also a great segue to, a lot of people, or maybe not a lot of people, but there are people that think you just work 1 week out of the year.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's still a big joke that when we talk to people, it's like, what do you do for the rest of the year?
Why do you say stuff like that while I'm taking a big drink? I almost spit out my coffee on the podcasting equipment.
Because you're like, oh, Matt probably just rides his bike, 51 weeks out of the year, and then the other week is regular.
Ride a bicycle. But no, I think that's we joke about that, but it's a RAGBRAI myth. I mean, I think a lot of people think that this magical ride just kind of happens and they show up in July and it's all put together, and
I used to think that.
Oh yeah, and that's the funny thing. When people travel with us, they go, man, after a week of travel, I just didn't understand the amount of detail that goes into these meetings.
Yeah.
And yes, it's not just I only work 1 week a year. It's it's truly a 50. I mean, this job is, I call
probably
it
a 55 week.
Yeah, I mean, it's a circle of life for the most part. I mean, it just kind of starts and ends. It starts and ends. It starts and ends.
Yeah.
And the tail touches the front of everything. So, I don't mind that. My brain and the way I like to work, I like being busy. I like doing things. I don't like sitting in it with not having anything to do. I'm very finicky and I fidget a lot. So I like constantly doing things. But yeah, it's definitely a year-round job for sure.
So 2 years ago, we celebrated the 50th, which was huge. It was a big deal. And then this past year, or it's actually technically this year, was the hilliest.
Yeah.
So do you want to give us any any sort of recap
Yeah,
on
I would
RAGBRAI
love to.
LI?
So, I mean, let's just take it back to RAGBRAI L. You know, that the 50th was for us something that I never want to touch ever again, if that makes sense. It was a lot, and you know, it was a lot for the riders. It was a lot for the towns. You know, when you have 50 to 75,000 people show up, and then you add, you know, record heat and some other things, it makes it tough. But I think one of the coolest things that came out of the 50th was, you know, just systems that we kind of failed on.
Failed?
Yeah.
Oh.
And, you know, really kind of was eye-opening from the standpoint of we have to fix these things.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so all the, there was negativity that came out of the 50th. There was also so much positivity too. I mean, it was a great ride, but you know, the things that we learned from the 50th, we were able to take into the 51st RAGBRAI and make changes. And I think, you know, we talk about baggage, you know, day one of the 50th, social media is blowing up because riders are waiting 2 hours to get their bag dropped off. You know, we made a huge change to baggage this year, and you know, when I was there, it was like a 15-second wait to drop a bag off because we looked at it and go, we have to get these riders on the road because I want them on the road by 6, and if we can't get them on the road by 6 and it's 6:30 or 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, it puts them in a bad spot. So we made some changes to the baggage, and you know, I think that was very well received. But you know, the stuff that came out of the 50th truly kind of put us in a great spot for the 51st from a system standpoint. And then, you know, I take riders south after the 50th, and the backlash of what that looked like from the standpoint of, you know, why would you as a director come off the 50th on one of the hardest, you know, RAGBRAIs ever and then go south when nobody wants to go south? And
What's your opinion on why people don't want to go south?
it's hilly.
Mm.
I mean, it's definitely hilly. I mean, it's harder down there, right? I mean, it's not, you know, believe me, it's a little bit more enjoyable on a flat road when you're flying. It's not that enjoyable from time to time when you're in the suck and your heart's, you know, popping out of your chest and you can't breathe. And, you know, so I think the conception of going south is, it's hilly, it's harder. We don't want to do that. The towns aren't the best. You know, there's going to be, you know, food deserts because the towns aren't, you know, they're gapped. And I truly believe, and I said this early on, I think the towns are going to be the ones that truly change the perspective for riders. And I think towns hit home runs this year.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
For people that didn't, you know, that chose not to do RAGBRAI this 2024 because it was the south route and it was the hilliest, made a big mistake. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think I traveled on the route 25 plus times from start to finish, and you know, because this is a full-time job and it's a, you know, like I said, a year-round job, I get to see Iowa change, you know, from a season standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, with the amount of rain that we got early on, which causes problems for, you know, for the future, and with storms and everything, it really kept Iowa green for a long time.
Mm.
And I think the roads were probably the best picture of what Iowa looks like when it does look the best. And it was that entire week. You know, I remember RAGBRAIs in the past where everything's brown and dry and everything was, I mean, when you get to some of those hills over by Winterset and you're climbing, you get to the top, you look around for miles. I mean, it was just green and just vibrant any direction that you looked. And, but no, I was very happy with, you know, last year's ride. The weather was different than the 50th. You know, we had 70s and 80s, and you know, towards the end of the week, it got warmer. I think we got maybe just a touch of rain, you know, on day 0 at the expo, but then the rain stayed away. A couple pop-up stuff that kind of just split and went around us. So from a storm standpoint, there really wasn't too many issues.
I think there was also that really memorable fog a couple days.
Yeah, that was
cool.
That's
Yes,
something
that's
that
right.
we almost never get on RAGBRAI, with multiple days of dense fog, and it was just so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was super happy with the route, and I was super proud of the towns. You know, this RAGBRAI is a lift. It's a monster lift for some of these towns. And, you know, at the end of August, we do our recap tour, our farewell tour, we call it, where we go back in and we want to hear the good, but we want to hear where you know, the bad, where we screwed up, what can we fix? And there was just so much good that came out of last year's ride that, will propel us for future years. And, from that good, obviously when you have towns like a Greenfield that was devastated by a tornado, and then, they wanted to host, and you hear the stories of what the impact was there left behind. And that, wasn't just, the Greenfield, it was every town on route. The riders truly showed up for these towns because the towns came out and showed up for the riders.
Yeah. It's been really fun this year on social media to be able to share. A couple of the towns have put out press releases or articles about all the money they've made, and it's a real joy to be able to share that kind of stuff, where some years you don't get a lot of feedback from the towns, but this year we've had article after article that I've been able to share about how much they've been able to, not just make money, but benefit from the riders coming through.
Sure. Yeah, we got a lot of feedback. And, we're talking to the towns. The things the towns brought up were things that we were already kind of working on behind the scenes to fix for this next year. So, there's with the positivity, there's, like I said, there is some negativity that we found on social media that we looked at and go, okay, how do we fix this? How do we make it better? But it was few and far between. There was just so much more positive. For me, it's hard. It's hard to close that chapter because you truly build these relationships and friendships, and I use the word family, with these towns, and then the last week of August, we're basically saying goodbye or saying goodbye till next time, kind of thing, and it's hard walking out of those meetings knowing that you're not going to see some of these people that you've seen on a monthly basis for the last 7, 8, 9 months, and for me personally too, like being the director and having to go into some of these towns early on that may didn't want RAGBRAI coming through because of past bad experiences, and then to be able to deliver on the things that we promised and we committed to, truly made that hard, because like you got everything kind of fixed and everything headed in the right direction, and then you say goodbye, and it's like now we got to reset and go back to a brand new process. So
and Matt's speaking in generalities, so he doesn't call anybody out, but that really did happen with at least one town.
Oh, for sure.
On this route, where they maybe didn't have the best view of us for whatever reason before RAGBRAI, and they completely turned around by the time it was over, and they wished that we weren't leaving. So I just wanted to point that out, that he's keeping them on the witness protection program, but this really did happen.
But some of these towns are, the population of maybe 1,000 people, and how overwhelming would that be if I was, lived in that town and I volunteered, oh yeah, I'll help out RAGBRAI. And then you like, oh crap, this means 25, 30,000 people are going to swoop through our town, leave within 12 hours. How can we do this? And I think that goes to show, all those times that you went and visited, you were helping them build confidence, giving them the information they needed for them to, blossom. And it was a great experience for everyone.
Yeah, we have to be there. We have to show up, and we kind of look at the, and I kind of recap and go, okay, is 20 trips the right number? Could we do less? Could we do with technology, a virtual call where, we don't leave our house and we get to talk to these people? And I think, yeah, you could. But it's just the value of being in that room. And we got to a point too, which was kind of fun, where, because we're investing in each other, where you become part of the town's banter, and you learn, they take shots at each other, and they're fun shots, right? So it's like, but they feel comfortable doing those things in front of you because you're showing up for them and they're going to show up for you. So, from my perspective, 20 is the number, and it's probably, but when I'm all said and done, 25, plus trips across the state. But, we need them to know that, yes, this is a monster, but we're here with, in those rooms every step of the way. So when you do have questions, we're there, or if we're not there, you call and we answer, or there's an email and we follow up. But, the big thing with this ride, if we don't have towns, we don't have a ride. Yeah. So if we can't do right by these towns and show up for them and find ways to support them, it's really, really easy to say no. It's hard to say yes sometimes. And it's, to your point, Murph, like it's a major lift. Can we do this? Is our town able to pull this off? And, after COVID, as you guys know, like volunteer groups have been decimated, and it's hard for people to volunteer. The good news is volunteers, they show up. They always show up last minute. So if you're that volunteer person for that committee, you're stressed because you're waiting and because they're holding to volunteer. But, if we don't show up for them and let them know that, hey, we are here for you, we are here to support, we're here to, bounce ideas off of, this is your event. We want this to be your RAGBRAI event. But we want to, make sure that we're in this together and they know that.
Something about this year was different. you can tell that you and Ann have been really working to build that relationship. I mean, Murph and I only traveled to the towns once beyond the pre-ride, and I have like Snapchat friends that I've made from these towns where just that everyone is, I mean, they're always so friendly, but this year was different.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had a lot of, since my first year in 2022, we've had, great years. And, you hear best RAGBRAI ever after 2022. You hear best RAGBRAI ever after the 50th and how hard that was. And then, last year to hear this is one of the best RAGBRAIs ever, or, in some cases, this is one of my favorite RAGBRAIs ever.
Yeah.
I just laugh because a lot of these people they were kind of complaining early on because it was good. Oh, why would you go south? But then they fell in love with the South. From my perspective, we have to go everywhere in Iowa. We can't just stay central and go north because, we rely too much on these counties. We rely too much on these towns, and then they get burned out because they can't do this year after year. And, I'm proud to say that, over the last 3 years, all the towns for the most part have said, hey, when you're back in our area, you give us a call. We would love to host again. Maybe not next year. Give us some time to breathe a little bit.
Right.
But come back and see us, and we would love to put our dot back on the map. So, then we transition into this year or for next year's ride.
And I'll say that even when we say the farewell tour, we say goodbye for now. It's not necessarily goodbye because we do bring some of the towns back for the overnight and pastor towns meetings in the spring.
Oh yeah. Those, that's, the best part about those meetings are they're, experts, right? They just came off the ride. They've been there, that they've done it. And I think it's really, really easy for Matt and Ann or you or whoever to stand up in front of the group and talk and explain how this ride works. But when they can hear it from someone that just did it, it's not Matt's voice or Ann's voice or, AP's voice. It's actually this town's voice saying, hey, we did this. This is how it turned out for us. We tried that. It didn't work. And it's truly that, that first line of defense when it comes to the planning process. Hearing it from the town that just came off of doing it will truly help them be successful for their ride.
Yeah.
So AP and I did a presentation for the Iowa Bicycle, I think it was called the Bike Summit for the Iowa Bicycle Coalition. And there's one of the graphics we use is the state of Iowa, and it's like every route from 1973 to maybe 2020, I think, or maybe
through the 50th.
Through the 50th.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's every single route, and each route was a different color. And it's amazing to see you truly have, gotten the entire state involved in this great event called RAGBRAI, and it's cool. And on a side note, we did tell the audience that the 2025 route was on there.
Oh God! So they're probably
so everyone was taking photos of it, which in theory, yes, it is because it's every community.
It's on there
Iowa.
somewhere. There's a route on there somewhere.
As if you could determine from like a ball of string that was
just
on there.
on the wall.
Exactly, which one is which,
yeah. But I guess my question kind of to go along with that is, why do you think RAGBRAI has been able to exist as long as it has?
It's so special. And, I use the word blessed a lot when I talk about RAGBRAI because I am blessed to be in this role because I get to be the guy that is in every town, on the day of the ride, kind of people watching. And, the riders want to tell me when they're having a great experience. They also want to tell me when we screw up. But
sure.
there are more great experiences that have come out of this ride than bad ones, right? Everybody that has ridden RAGBRAI has a story. I don't think that you could do your first RAGBRAI and leave after 7 days and not have a story to tell about the experience that you just had. I've said multiple times that, this ride has been has been replicated in other states. And it just doesn't happen, and it's the people of Iowa that make this successful because anybody can do a 7-day ride across the state, but it's the people of Iowa that pull it all together, that open up their houses and their hearts to complete strangers, that understand how big of a lift this is, but they know what this does for their town in the big picture of us. Maybe not being a flyover state anymore, and flying into Iowa and coming and visiting these communities. And it's pride, 100% pride, where, these small towns, when you take, Maxburg, Iowa, I think they had maybe, 6 to 8 committee members pulling off this event. It's the entire community making this event happen, and the pride and the experience and what they showcased will be remembered for these riders for months and years to come.
Yeah.
And the best part is then when we come back in 3 or 5 or 10 years, those riders that were there in Maxburg will remember the skillets and remember the experience that they had, and it's all because of this small group of people that said, hey, we want to embrace this, we want to take this on, we want to showcase our community, we want to show the world why we live in this town. And at the end of the day, no one makes millions off of being a town for RAGBRAI. No business is making millions, but what they're doing is they're showcasing truly why they live in this town.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what makes that this ride so special for Iowa. But I will say, if we don't have the people of Iowa, we don't have the towns, and we don't have this ride.
Yeah, I think we can all say that we're very proud to be Iowans.
Absolutely, 100%.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Totally.
So, okay, RAGBRAI 52 is happening in 2025.
LII.
RAGBRAI LII.
Yep.
Lee?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, LAI.
So where are you at? Because we're recording this around Halloween time. So where are you at in the whole process of RAGBRAI LII?
3,542 miles on the truck.
Whoa!
Already. So I for the last 3 years, I've tried to reset my odometer so I can kind of from start to finish see truly how many miles. And in 2022 we bought that truck in October with I think less than 100 miles on it, and we're pushing over 85,000 miles on it right now.
Oh
so
my gosh.
you can just do the math. Like we're on the road a lot.
Yeah.
But I never really got to a point where I could, say at the end, hey, I've traveled this many miles on this truck in 1 year doing it. So I decided to do it this year. So, I have my map, and you guys know my story. Like after the ride, I have my 3 to 5 year plan, and it kind of fits with the DOT plan as far as their projects. So I grabbed the map, literally at the end of July, and I plot out kind of where I want to go and what I want to see. And I always joke because the route always looks amazing on paper because it's one side to the other,
right.
and the roads look great, and I feel really, really good about it. And then we schedule a meeting with the DOT, and that meeting usually happens early September, and we truly learn what projects they have going on. Secretly behind the scenes, they're looking at county projects, and the county and the DOT don't always talk very well, so they don't truly know exactly what each other is doing. So we only know so much, but we kind of get a good lay of the land as far as what could happen over the course of this year. Last year for 51, the route changed 7 times.
Oh, wow.
So it does evolve over the course of the year. By the time you get to June, by that pre-ride, you want the route locked in.
Mm-hmm.
And then my commitment is no roads change unless Mother Nature changes a road for us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same, kind of plan for this year. So we have a route. We have kind of, it's been kind of signed off on by the DOT. It's been signed off on by the State Patrol. But we wait till that first week of October because we have applications that go out to the towns to host. And, from my perspective, I hope that, the envelope shows up from a town that's on the map because it just makes that conversation so much easier. But, like last year, the town that we wanted to go to wasn't on the map. So then it forced me to get in a truck and drive to this town to have conversations to start that process. So, since we, closed the chapter on 51 and we opened up the new book for 52, 3,500 plus miles have been on the truck going from point A to point B. And, the worst part is, you deal with things that happened this year that will affect next year and the following year, and that's flood, right?
Yeah.
So, we 2022 we went north, and 23 we went central, and 24 we went south. So ideally everybody wants to go north again, but to be transparent, we might not get to because of all the flooding and all the things that happened, last year. And it's super hard for me to go into a town or a community and ask for them to be a part of something when there are people in these communities that don't have houses and their
right.
world has been decimated by flood. So it really kind of, threw the plan, in the garbage, and we had to kind of rework some things. So the good news is we're going to have a route, and it's going to be done. I'm confident that we're going to make it work, but it's truly kind of forced us to kind of look outside the box and try to figure out how we can make this work. Because because like I said, the route looks good on paper, but until you start having some behind the door conversations with, counties and with the state and with the patrol, you truly, very quickly learn that this route's not going to work. We have to make it work. So it's already changed kind of 3 times since we've started.
And it's just hard to imagine. I mean, I know this because we're all sitting here and we've talked about it before, but how many moving parts are involved in you have your vision or your dream or your 5-year plan, but then you've got the state troopers, you've got the DOT, and then of course you've got those communities. Mm-hmm. Like if they don't want us to be there or they have had some sort of natural disaster or something or construction, then it's not going to work.
Give you a peek behind the curtain. This year, one town changed 5 days. So it's just, because of the area that we were looking at and what was around there, and not to be able to have assets, losing one town that you kind of needed on the map, and because of things happening, you just, you went a different direction, made 5 days of a route completely change.
Wow.
So it's going to be good. I'm excited for it. There's some beautiful stretches of road that I've already seen, and right now it's really cool because everything's fall and like the trees are changing, and it's truly. I'm a big fall guy, so to be out there and in a a sweatshirt and jeans and it's 70 degrees outside. I absolutely love that. We're going to get there. It's going to take some time, but, I think we're in a good spot. From my perspective, my goal is to have all the 8 overnight towns locked in by November. Mm. So then we can focus on December and preparing for route announcement and kind of, the holiday season and all that stuff. And, everything that we do now sets us up for success in the future. So everything we can kind of check a box for now will help us be better long-term. I would love to tell you that, hey, we got 8 days locked in, we're good to go, and it's done. But that's just kind of the first 8 pieces of the puzzle, and then there's 35 plus more you have to figure out.
Do one of you guys kind of want to hit on some important dates that are happening? Because, this recording is happening in, let's just say, late October. So I know that you have some exciting things happening.
Oh, we always have some exciting things happening. Namely, in a couple days, we're about to release the logo for RAGBRAI 52, where, of course, the logo, it could be anything, mm-hmm. But it really sets the tone for what the ride is going to look like as far as our branding, our merchandise, the attitude maybe of the ride. It really is the kickoff of what RAGBRAI 2025 is going to be like. So we're all really excited about that. I'm trying really hard not to reveal anything about the logo.
Yeah, I'm watching her like something's going to slip. She gets so excited sometimes.
So that happens October 25th.
So
if you're listening to this episode after October 25th, go to ragbrai.com and you'll see the logo.
Or facebook.com/RAGBRAI.
Yeah.
Give my social a plug. So we have that. Then little time passes. November 15th, big day in RAGBRAI land. Registration opens.
It's on my calendar.
It better be. So you're in no way required to register on the first day of registration being open, but that is when it will kick off. We're all pretty excited about that because that's when people can really commit to going on RAGBRAI.
Get those vacation days off.
That's right. When you put your vacation days in.
Yeah, as soon as register. That's the, my brain naturally just goes back to the planning process again. And, if you register now, we have a better understanding of what's coming and what we can talk to these towns about. And that's one of the biggest questions these towns have is how many people can we expect?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And, part of the other side of RAGBRAI is the bandit side of things and people just showing up. So we're very transparent. We tell them here's the number that we're seeing through our registration platform, but just know more are going to show up. So if you're the Kathy Murphys of the world that are going to be riding RAGBRAI no matter where it goes,
right,
punch your ticket now and get it done so we can be telling these towns exactly how many we have coming.
I want to have a porta potty in every community that's available to me.
That's right.
Put your name on it.
VIP.
Well, I don't need my own, but I'm just saying that, if those towns know
helps.
How many people are coming, helps. Then that makes a big difference.
Easy for us to let them know, hey, we have this many coming, and it helps the planning process. And it's also like a level of stress, like when these towns have an idea what's going to show up compared to what does show up. And it's great just knowing right out of the gate how many people are coming. So
are you going to be able to? Let's just say you lock in the route in November. Are you going to be able to keep that a secret till the end of January?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Are
absolutely.
you sure?
Yeah, I'm probably the best at keeping
Is
secrets.
there any sort
I'm
of
looking at AP because I know she can't keep secrets to save her life.
Is there any kryptonite that like
No.
if somebody like if you feed you too much chocolate, you like
No, yeah,
you spill the guts?
We joke at my house because my wife gets asked, oh, so you kind of know where the route's going, and she goes, no, he won't tell me. We don't even talk about it. It doesn't even come up in the house, and obviously I'm on Life 360 with my girls, so my girls go, oh, you were by so and so today, and I'm like, yeah. So they kind of know the vicinity of where we're going. But no, this is, as I tell these towns that I'm talking to, this is Iowa's best kept secret.
Yeah.
And we have to do everything in our power to keep it quiet because there are people out there scouring the internet, scouring the hotels, scouring the city council minutes, trying to figure out, is RAGBRAI coming? And, the problem when people start thinking they know where we're going, hotels start getting booked. And then, when you try to book hotels for the state patrol and our team and care ambulance, they're few and far between. So, this is a really, really big deal for the state of Iowa. And like I said, it is Iowa's best kept secret, and we have to do right by that. So, if these towns are on board, they're the ones that I worry about because they're the ones that are excited now, and they have to wait until January to announce. So,
they got to keep their poker faces.
So, when we go there, we go there. But, I won't tell you. I'm not going to tell anybody.
Put off telling me for as long as possible.
That's right.
So January 25th is when all of us, the world, will find out the route for 2025.
Yep.
And I'll already be registered because, like you said, Matt, I don't really care where RAGBRAI goes. I'm going to go because it's a blast.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The 25th is also the Iowa Bike Expo, so we'll be there all day, both in the Just Go Bike podcast booth as well as with the RAGBRAI trailer. So we're excited about that. And then the page turns to all of our 2025 dates, but that's all we need to talk about for now. But
yeah. Well, Matt, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And it's always a joy to kind of get the scoop on what you're doing these days and getting us all, excited for another bike ride across the state.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
And when I stop recording, you can tell us the route.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Just Go Bike podcast. Murph and AP will be back next week. In the meantime, check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and X, formerly known as Twitter. And if you would like to contact Murph and AP with a comment about the podcast, or maybe you have a topic in mind, email them at justgobikepodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast, especially if you're a fan. Until next time,
Just go bike!
theme song by Ryan Steeder, logo by Suzanne Milosevic, produced by Kathy Murphy, social media by Andrea Parrott, intro by Pumpkin. Until next time, just go bike.